There's no question about the impact of sleep on our well-being. It's the essential foundation upon which our physical, mental, and emotional health are built. Yet, it's been said that parents don't get much at all. So I tracked my sleep every single day for 1 year, before and after having a baby. I wanted to find out how bad it truly gets. What could I learn from an entire year of recording my own sleep data? Is it possible to break the stereotype, or am I doomed like most parents? This video is sponsored by Squarespace. More on them later. So this whole experiment began the week that Natalie got pregnant. I think I was driven partly by curiosity and partly by a desperate desire to hold on to my sleep. So I picked up an Apple Watch, set it to sleep mode every night, and started collecting data. Consumer sleep tracking devices like the Apple Watch aren't perfect. They definitely don't compare to the high-tech devices used in sleep labs, but I found that it did an accurate job of tracking my sleep and awake periods. Blue represents time asleep, the deeper the blue, the deeper the sleep, and red represents time awake. And what I found over the 9 months before Frankie was born was that my sleep was pretty damn good. I averaged 7 hours and 54 minutes of sleep per night, so you can see lots of blue in the data. Looking at some of the individual days here, you can see that I'm mostly sleeping through the night. Of course, there would be times when I was up all night thinking about how Back to the Future is now set in the past, but those were outliers. This wasn't a huge surprise. I've always done my best to get a good night's sleep, from using blackout curtains to dialing in the right temperature and listening to the soothing voice of Matthew McConaughey.
Well, hello there.
I've always been pretty dedicated to getting good sleep. But the big question, did the quality of my sleep hold up after Frankie's birth? All right, I want to play a game. I'm going to scroll through my sleep data on my phone for the past year, and you try to guess when we had a baby. Here we go. I guess this game wasn't really that hard. So the rumors are true. Newborns wreak havoc on your sleep. It's so bad, in fact, that one survey revealed that only 10% of new parents were getting 7+ hours of sleep per night, which means that the best sleep aid ever invented might be a vasectomy. The initial impact on our sleep was hard and fast, kind of like what got us into this mess. But exactly how bad did it get? For some reason, the first 2 nights with Frankie didn't even register in Apple Health. I'm pretty sure my Apple Watch thought I was dead. I probably got a combined total of 6 hours of sleep across 2 days. Then on day 3, the data kicks in. 4 hours and 40 minutes, 2 hours and 38 minutes, 3 hours and 12 minutes, 3 hours and 55 minutes, 3 hours and 15 minutes. And it goes on. I didn't get a solid 7 hours of sleep in a night until 12 days after Frankie was born. Now, it's important to mention that this doesn't include naps. Naps are difficult to track with Apple Health, but this still illustrates just how difficult those first few weeks were.
How's my sleep been? Not great.
Maybe I'll hold him while we film. Hey, buddy.
Working dad.
I got Frankie here.
He wants to talk, actually.
Yeah, he's very chatty right now.
You want to tell everyone hi? Yeah.
All right, so who do you think is getting more sleep these days, me or you?
You are. You're getting more sleep than I am, for sure. Next question. So I'm having to wake up with every time he wakes up. Whilst you only have to wake up for like half that amount of time. But I'm definitely getting the shittest sleep of my life. Not a question.
There's a reason experts recommend getting 8 hours of sleep. This level of sleep deprivation is brutal on your physical, mental, and emotional health. It's difficult to explain unless you've experienced it for yourself, but I'll try. After day 1, you're exhausted but functioning. You've been here before and you're convinced that it can't get much worse than this. It does. After a couple days, zoning out becomes a regular occurrence, and your reaction time starts to slow down. 5 days in, and life becomes a fog. Days and nights bleed together, and you can't remember the last time you felt well-rested. Oh, and I might have forgot to mention, you're trying to keep a baby alive, something you have literally no experience doing. 1 week in, and you start to see things. A few weeks later, you begin to fall asleep sitting down, standing up, in the middle of conversations. 3 months in, you're eating peanut butter out of a jar at 5 a.m. and accidentally spill some on the ground. You immediately start crying. All jokes aside, sleep deprivation has you walking on an emotional tightrope where the slightest thing could send you spiraling. It breaks you down into a shell of your former self and blankets your entire life in a layer of despair. It's no wonder that they use sleep deprivation as a torture device. Oh no, he really needs to eat, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm, he does.
All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. Frankie is gonna get some milk. So for the second video in a row, my sponsor Squarespace is allowing me to outsource this portion of my video to AI. That way I can catch up on sleep.
Oh wow, I can't believe Squarespace fell for it again. What a bunch of suckers. Well, okay then. Squarespace is the best platform for making your next website. They have hundreds of customizable templates, perfect for blogs, businesses, and washed-up YouTubers. Do you want to grow an audience? Do you want to generate revenue online? Do you want to make a career out of shitty self-development videos?
I'm sorry, but that's actually not what we want to do for this thing.
Says the guy that peaked back in 2019.
Okay, I'm sorry. This whole thing needs to stop.
Squarespace is easy to use. You can change text with a click, post info about your business, and add your photoshopped photos. You know how I know these photos are edited? Because Matt prompted me to make his biceps look quote-unquote nice and juicy. It's honestly pathetic. Visit squarespace.com today for a free trial. Then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/mattdevella to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. By the way, I looked at Matt's browser history, and there's something you need to know. He has a weird obsession with...
Sorry about that, but yeah, basically Squarespace is a great place to build your next website, and I'm grateful that they sponsor my videos.
Me too.
We tried really hard to get as much sleep as we could, but it just wasn't possible to get the same quality as before. Why? Well, Frankie would only sleep in our arms for the first few weeks. And even when he did sleep in his bassinet, he was surprisingly loud. And at minimum, he woke up for a feed every 2 to 3 hours. Again, that's at minimum. While everyone has a different experience, these are usually just the base realities for most parents. And since sleep training isn't generally recommended until after 4 months, out of sheer survival, we decided to start implementing sleep shifts. Frankie was sleeping in our room, so we set up a spare bed in Frankie's room. Then we took turns sleeping half the night on this luxurious cardboard bed. Add in some noise-canceling headphones, and this allowed us to fully shut off and get some deep rest. In the data, you can actually see a huge difference between my quality of sleep when I'm alone and when I'm sleeping next to Frankie. Over time, our sleep started to get better. I went from averaging 5 hours of sleep in the beginning to 7 hours and 31 minutes 3 months in, which sounds amazing until you look closer at the data. Here's what 8 hours of sleep looked like before having a baby. And here's what 8 hours of sleep looked like after. Now, in order to get this amount of sleep, I needed to spend over 12 hours in bed, which is getting more and more unrealistic as I try to get back to work and, well, you know, have a life. One word that's really helped us more than anything else is acceptance. It's easy to constantly complain about this kind of stuff, and it definitely helps to vent sometimes. But eventually you have to just suck it up and push through.
If you're not complaining, are you even parenting? But I really appreciate the people who don't complain. Who are like, you know what, I'm just gonna embrace the chaos, and it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna be positive about it, and I can at least control my mindset. And I'm like, far out, that's refreshing. Don't know how you do it. But I would like to be more like that.
Life is just different now, and you get used to it. Not exactly the most uplifting news, but it's the truth. You get by, some days are worse than others, and in the end, the sacrifice is worth it.